Deep beneath Cheyenne Mountain, carved into the cold granite of Colorado, lies one of humanity's most secure structures, the North American Aerospace Defense Command. Or as the world knows it, NORAD. It was designed to withstand nuclear annihilation, meteor strikes, and even the chaotic wrath of human panic during the Cold War. But let's ask the real question. If the world above was consumed by the undead, would this legendary fortress become your salvation or your tomb? Let's descend into the heart of the mountain, where steel doors thicker than your hopes and dreams slam shut with a satisfying, apocalyptic clang. The outside world screams, but inside, silence. Airtight chambers hum with filtered oxygen. The walls are so dense that even a nuke in tea scratch them, let alone a zombie pawing mindlessly at the granite. You'd think, perfect. I'm safe. But as always in survival, the devil hides in the details. First, the pros. Security is the golden ticket here. NORAD wasn't built for comfort. It was built for survival. Those blast doors, each weighing around 25 tons, can seal off the base like a tomb of iron. Zombies wouldn't even know it exists. It's buried under 600 meters of rock. You could park an entire apocalypse above it, and it wouldn't notice. If you're inside when the outbreak begins, congratulations, you've just outlived 99% of the planet. The base has its own power generators, water supply, and air filtration systems. In a world where the sky might be filled with burning cities and infected birds, you're breathing pure, cool, mountain-filtered air. There's even an underground reservoir of water, enough to outlast years if rationed properly. And the power. Redundant systems designed for doomsday continuity. Imagine flicking a switch while the surface world burns, and your bunker stays lit like a miniature civilization. There's also food. During its prime, NORAD was stocked with military-grade rations. Not gourmet by any means. Freeze-dried eggs, powdered milk, and Murrays that taste like salty cardboard. But hey, when zombies are clawing at your doors, even cardboard starts to taste like steak. If you've got a small, disciplined group, you could survive comfortably for months, maybe years, while humanity replays its extinction reel outside. Then there's communication. If by some miracle satellites are still operational, NORAD's massive radar and comms infrastructure could make you the last node of civilization. You'd be listening to faint signals, distress calls, broken broadcasts, maybe even survivors. You'd be Noah in his ark, tuning into the static sea, waiting for a dove that never comes back. And let's not forget the psychological advantage. There's something empowering about knowing you're inside the most secure fortress ever built. A zombie apocalypse thrives on fear and chaos, but inside NORAD, fear is replaced by the calm, humming rhythm of machines built to outlive humanity itself. You can walk through dimly lit tunnels and hear the heartbeat of survival echoing through the metal corridors. But before you start printing out your base commander of the New World name tags, let's talk about the cons, the hidden cracks in this granite dream. First problem, access. Getting into NORAD during an outbreak isn't like checking into a hotel. It's a military facility, deep, sealed, and heavily guarded. By the time you think of running there, the gates are probably locked, and the personnel inside have strict orders not to open them for anyone. You might bang on that enormous blast door until your hands bleed, but the only thing answering will be your own echo. Unless you're already inside when it happens, you're not getting in. Second issue, size and logistics. NORAD was designed for hundreds of people with everything from cafeterias to medical bays. That sounds amazing until you realize what happens when supplies start dwindling. Without external resupply, those stockpiles turn into countdown timers. Food goes first, then morale. You might have to start rotating meals, or, God forbid, growing mushrooms in the ventilation shafts. And then comes the air. Yes, the base has filtered systems, but they were designed for temporary lockdowns, not for an indefinite zombie siege lasting decades. Filters clog, systems degrade, machines need maintenance. Once something breaks, You're not going outside to Home Depot for a replacement part. You're descending into the world's most expensive grave with perfect air quality. But the real danger isn't mechanical, it's human. Imagine being trapped underground with 100 people, some disciplined soldiers, others civilians who've lost everyone. At first, everyone works together. Then, the weeks stretch into months. Isolation sinks its teeth into the mind deeper than any zombie bite could. You start noticing who's hoarding snacks, who whispers too much, who doesn't blink anymore when they talk. Paranoia becomes your new apocalypse. The base might keep zombies out, but it can't keep madness in. Every noise echoes like a scream. Every argument feels amplified. You'll start to miss the sky, that dead ash-colored sky you once cursed. Claustrophobia grows like mold. People need sunlight, fresh air, and freedom. Down here, you have none. You dream of open spaces, then wake up to the same steel ceiling and flickering lights. And what happens when the chain of command collapses? Military hierarchy is great until rations run out and authority means less than a can of beans. Factions form. Maybe a group decides they should be the true protectors of NORAD. Maybe another decides that if the outside world is dead, they're gods now. History has shown that humanity, docent, need zombies to start eating each other alive. Just a little hunger and desperation. There's also the risk of infection inside, if one person is bitten before sealing the doors. Congratulations, you've just locked yourself inside a concrete coffin with an evolving infection. There's nowhere to run. A single mistake turns the fortress into a feeding pit, and with no escape, you'll be listening to the screams bounce endlessly down the metal halls. And finally, the biggest, most ironic twist. If you actually survive long enough for the outside world to go quiet, you might never leave. The systems, the darkness, the routine, they become your new normal. Generations later, survivors might still be down there, pale and hollow-eyed, telling ghost stories about the surface as if it were some mythical heaven. Humans adapt, yes, but sometimes adaptation looks like forgetting what it means to be human. So, is NORAD base a good place to survive a zombie apocalypse? In the short term, absolutely. It's practically the holy grail of doomsday real estate. Impenetrable, self-sustaining, hidden. If you're lucky enough to be inside before it all falls apart, you'll have a golden ticket to watch the end of the world from a front row bunker seat. But in the long term, it's a double-edged sword. You survive the apocalypse, only to be trapped in an eternal echo chamber of your own survival. Safety becomes isolation. Humanity becomes myth. You win the war against zombies, but lose the war against time and your own sanity. Maybe that's the cruel poetry of survival. Sometimes the best fortress is just a slower, quieter death. Still, if you ever get the chance to spend your apocalypse days inside, NORAD, maybe bring a few things. A lifetime supply of coffee, a deck of cards, and at least one friend you trust more than your own mind. Because when the world ends and silence reigns beneath the mountain, the hardest thing to survive might not be the zombies. It might be yourself.